Hey, call me Shape, and today I'm reacting to a video titled Why Single Men Are Happier Than You Think. Let's get right into it.
Men are much happier on their own without a woman in their lives, especially these days. Men right now, even approaching a woman, is a very risky proposition. There's a relatively good chance that whatever you do is going to result in you either being canceled or turned into somebody's TikTok meme or being accused of being a creep or a predator. So why even bother? I mean, there's just way too much risk and way too little reward for most men to justify getting into a serious relationship with a woman. I would suggest that not only is it a bad idea for men to do this, but I think that men will ultimately be way happier on their own when they find their own path and they let go of this idea that they need to have a woman in their lives. Women are much more trouble than they're worth. Now, if you're a man and you're married and you've got a woman in your life, I hope it works out for you. But for those of you who have not found a woman and you feel like you need to, I want to offer this to you as an opportunity to give life a different thought, have a different perspective. Consider the possibility that not having a woman in your life is a blessing, and the opportunity for happiness for you is just as great or greater than any married man could be. So let's talk about it. We all get one life to live, and finding happiness is elusive enough as it is. But when men are facing bigotry from women that is endorsed and accepted by society as a whole, it makes it even more difficult. And so endeavoring to build relationships with women for many men is becoming less and less of an option. Men going their own way is just the natural order of things. And there's an enormous amount of fulfillment and opportunity for men out there on their own. And in fact, in many ways, women are a hindrance to men's happiness. It's our belief and idea that we need to have a woman in our life that has been the historical norm and the paradigm that we have been living under for such a long time, that breaking free of that paradigm and exploring our happiness and our independence and our ability to find meaning in our lives without the burden of having to care for a woman is just a great opportunity. So don't feel for a moment that you're not complete as a man just because you're not married or you don't have a full-time woman in your life. Because women are just one thing. They're just one option. And for those of you guys who are happily married, good for you, good on you. But if anyone who has been married for any length of time knows, it's not an easy track. I mean, it's a very, very difficult task being in a long-term relationship with a woman. They're very difficult to manage. They're extremely emotional. They're extremely irrational. And they're very simple and straightforward in their needs and their desires, and they communicate it to you directly. Women are not like that. And so having relationships with them can be extremely difficult. So today we're going to talk about how men find happiness on their own without a woman in their lives. Society has a tendency to view men who are single as unfulfilled or lonely or incapable of having a full, meaningful life. And nothing could be further from the truth. In a society that has promoted women to the point where it's okay for them to say things like, all men should die, and men are useless, and we don't need men anymore, and these kinds of bigoted statements without holding them accountable. If I said something like that about any ethnic group, if I said that about women or transgenders or Jews or Catholics or Muslims, I would be called out as a bigot, as a racist, as a misogynist. But women can get away with this shit like they're immune to society's standards. They can...
In fact, no. Society's standard is bigotry from women is completely acceptable. You're supposed to say men are useless. You're supposed to say you need a man just as much as a fish needs a bicycle. You're supposed to say that. That's part of the feminist dogma. You got to accept it, right? With dogmatic adherence. You have to accept this. And I've accepted already that women can get away with this. They can laugh and giggle about mutilating men, cut off his genitals. If he ever cheats on me, I'm going to cut his dick off. They're allowed to say that. We can't say anything similar to that. And honestly, this is the double standard that as men, we have to accept. But you know what we don't have to accept? Miserable lives. You know, and I like what he said. Men don't need women. Women need us. We want you. You need us. You need us to survive. And that's okay. We can work together on this. But for you to ruin our happiness, unacceptable. You know, and I'll be honest with you. I'm single, and I've been single for quite some time now. And I'm way happier now in my life than I ever was in a relationship. Relationships are fun. They're enjoyable. But they're hard work, and they're very expensive. They're very costly. And they're very taxing on you, right? They're very draining. Constantly trying to figure out where someone is, what they're doing, if they're doing something wrong, if they're doing enough, if they're measuring up to what a good woman should be. They're measuring you up. Are you measuring up to what a good man should be? It's a lot of hassle. And maybe in the future, what we're going to do is we're going to be together, but we're going to live separate. That's what I think is going to happen in the future. Everyone's going to live apart, but they're going to be in relationships. Whether you're married or you're just a girlfriend, boyfriend, you're going to live apart, but you're going to be together. And that might be the best direction for us to head into.
Evil, mean things about men without being held accountable. And so it's very clear from that perspective and from the perspective of family court that women are getting most favored person treatment in the world right now. And in a marketplace between men and women where it's very important that the dynamics at least have some kind of rules that everyone can play by and agree to, and women live outside of those rules, well, why would men want to enter into any kind of a long-term relationship with them? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at all. Life 1.0 tells us that we need to get married. That's one of the boxes that we need to check in our lives. And I think as men, being raised primarily by women, and inevitably, unless you were a helicopter child or you were a single child, you probably didn't get a lot of nurturing from your mother. I certainly didn't. I think that Generation Xers like me, we were not the purpose of our parents' lives. Oftentimes we felt like we were an impediment to their lives. So seeking out a woman's comfort is something that I think our generation really sought out, or that's something that we did. And I think even the boomers before us had a lot of the same experience. If I had known, 25, 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago, what I know now, I certainly wouldn't have been so eager to get married. And we all have our different reasons at different times. And at the time when I got married, I was a single father. So finding someone who could play that maternal role for my son was a high priority. But in retrospect, it was a mistake, I think that my life probably would have been just as happy or much happier, and certainly a lot more financially rewarding if I had remained single. Well, you never know. Life happens.
He's raising a great point, because even though single motherhood might be something that women abhor, if that's a word, or something that women dislike, before I start using words I don't know. I thought of a word, maybe abhor is a word that I'm looking for. Either way, something that they're disgusted by. Maybe being a single father is not that bad, right? Maybe just because, being a father is something that I think all men want to do, but you don't have to necessarily be in a relationship to have that. And I know it's hard to say, well, if you're a single father, that means the woman that you had a kid with is a single mom. And I know it's hard for them because they need us, right? And we do need help. I don't think that we don't need any help. And we do kind of need each other in a way. Because, without each other, we can't conceive children at all, right? So we kind of both have a hand in this. And I am appreciative of women that want to carry our children. I'm going to be very grateful for it. But what if it costs you your sanity? Because a lot of women are so insufferable. They hold your children over you. It's their children, not your children. It turns into this adversarial relationship that is on a singular path to hell. Or maybe plural path. Because you could get there in many ways. Either way, I think it's interesting to hear, and no offense to this gentleman, a white man say that as a single father, he should have never gotten married, even though he wanted a mother figure for his son. I'm curious, what was the relationship with the woman you had a kid with? What's the relationship with your child's mother? Because it's not too many single fathers out here. I was raised by a single father, my dad. And it made me long for a woman's affection and validation like he's describing. But what I came to realize is that comes at a high cost. And a lot of times, man, it's just like women want to control everything, bro. And I don't think women understand this about men. We don't want to be ruled by women. We don't. We really don't. It really is. It's really an insufferable experience. That's the best way I could put it. It's so horrible. I don't think words could put it I don't think words could put it perfectly how much we despise a female leader of us in our own lives, right? To be domineering to men, we just don't want it, you know? And I don't think women care what we want, which is sad because, you know, women not caring what men want is akin to an employee not caring what an employer wants, right? Because at the end of the day, we hire women. I don't think women get this. We hire you for a job. You know, we hire you to be wives. We hire you to be mothers. You choose us to be leaders. You choose us to be fathers. But we're hiring you because resources usually transfer from men to women, not the other way around. Just like resources transfer from employer to employee, not the other way around, right? The employee's not paying the employer. And since women want a man to take care of them, we are more like the employer than we are like your employee. But how many women treat you like you're on an interview with them, right? So I go on and on about this, but the world's in a really, it's in the space of disarray. Like, I don't know what's going to have to happen, but I watch videos like this over and over again, and men are saying the same thing over and over and over again. If you watch my videos, it's the same narrative, you know, but let's let him finish, and then I'll give some more feedback.
I guess my point is, don't feel like getting married is something that is critical to your life. There's so much more to life than marriage and raising children. There's lots of ways to find fulfillment. Don't get stuck in the paradigm. Getting married and having a family, that's just one option. But because it conforms to societal norms and historical precedent, it's something that men feel obligated to do. The truth of the matter is, it's just a paradigm that has not been challenged in a big way for a very long time. I think that a lot of our ancestors probably figured it out that living with a woman for the rest of your life probably wasn't an ideal solution for most men. The fact of the matter is, our ancestors, our ancient ancestors, spent an awful lot of time away from home. They were hunting and, and they'd be gone for weeks at a time on hunting trips, finding new places to live, just going out and exploring the world. Staying at home and being a father and a husband was not something that most men did a long time ago. Financially, single men do quite well. In fact, there are several studies that show that financially single men are doing much better than their romantically entangled counterparts. Now, granted, there are some benefits if you meet the right girl and she can pull her weight and help buy you a house. But for the most part, single men do much better on their own than having a woman in their lives. Budgeting is made much simpler. Prioritizing needs and desires is much more straightforward. You don't have to worry about, someone else's spending habits or their fetish for furniture or whatever it may be. You can decide what's important to you and spend your money on it, or you can just stash that money away and save it for a rainy day or a sunny day if you like. But yeah, being financially independent as a single man is much more straightforward and simple than it is when you're married, especially if you're financially going to be caring for this woman and maybe even a few children. Oh my gosh, just look at the cost of putting kids through preschool. Forget about college. My God. It costs you a couple $1,000s a month per kid to put them through a preschool program. And then when you get to college, if you got a real smart kid, you could be easily paying $500,000 or $600,000 to get your kid through college. Now imagine how you could use that money on your own. Yes. You start to see the benefits already. It doesn't take a genius to figure this one out.
Yeah, I want to just say, like, my dad recently got divorced after almost 20 years of marriage, it seems like. And he was similar to this guy, but he was a single father of 3. But he was a high-earning man. He was some well-to-do man, got a master's degree, came from Trinidad, migrated to America the right way, right? He didn't come illegally. He didn't cross the border. He came through the front door, and he was actually the first year he got here, he started going to NYU, so he got into college, got his master's degree, started working on Wall Street as an IT guy. And I would have to say, it seems like my dad was miserable most of my life, but he seems the most happiest now, that he's living alone, he's divorced, all his kids are out of his house, and he doesn't have the stress. So now he just lives his life, and he just enjoys it, and I'm so happy for him. And our relationship is a lot better now that he's happy and he feels like he's finally getting the rewards of his hard work. And I want the happiness for more men. And I realize how happy I am being alone. Like, I was in a long-term relationship with a beautiful girl, very attractive girl. And she's a good woman, you know. But she was needy. And so I had to constantly give myself to her to keep her happy. I felt like I was losing myself. And it was hurting the relationship because she always wanted to be around. She never wanted to be apart. She wanted to be underneath me all the time. And I felt too smothered. And I started to lose attraction to her. And ultimately, the relationship didn't work out. And I think back now I reflect on that now. And I think to myself, you know what? I'm finally at the place where I could pursue my passion, pursue my goals uninterrupted. And it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to record this video right now and not be disturbed. It's amazing. I don't got to worry about someone making noise. I don't got to worry about someone pestering me, needy for my attention. I could just sit, do my work. It is absolutely the best. It's the best, right? I could go to the gym when I want. I could take a poop when I want. I could take a poop when I want, undisturbed. Right? I don't got someone trying to go through my phone and see what's going on and go through my Facebook and try to crack into my computer and trying to find out my computer code. My ex-girlfriend, when we were living together, she would watch me on my computer. I would have to try to hide it. And that's how much she should be, like, just hovering over me like a helicopter. To the point where she actually was able to pinpoint my password. And I would try to do it fast, and I didn't have the strength of character to tell her, like, get away from me at the time. Now I do. Right? I have boundaries now, but I didn't have boundaries at the time. And yeah, she would go through when I wasn't around, go through my computer, look through my stuff. And that's what it's like dating a woman. That they feel like they're just entitled to everything that you own, everything that you do. They need to know your whereabouts. Bro, like, men, we like freedom. We don't want this. Right? Women do not know how to stay in their place. Just be you, do you. I'm not living for your express pleasure. I'm not here just to satisfy you. And I swear, so many women act like we're just here for them, to serve them, to do what they want, to be who they think a man should be. We're not here for that. I'm here for a purpose. This is why fulfillment is so important. And I think it's a spiritual thing from God. Because I don't feel spiritually fulfilled when I'm just giving myself to a woman. But I do feel spiritually fulfilled when I'm making these videos. I'm improving myself financially. I'm growing in the world. I'm improving my status. I'm working out. I'm building myself. That makes me feel fulfilled in such a way that women or sex never does. Sex is very unfulfilling. Very, very unfulfilling. It fulfills you for a moment. It's like a momentary pleasure. But you don't think, I've been with so many beautiful women in the past, you know, and even now recently. I don't sit and just daydream about, oh my God, I was like smashing this girl with a big ass. I don't think about that kind of stuff, bro. But you know what I think about? All my achievements, the things I've done, the things I've accomplished. I look in the mirror, I see my body, I feel proud of myself. It's long-term fulfilling satisfaction. It's not fleeting. Right? And this is why you got to delay gratification as a man, because when you delay it, you then finally get that feeling of, man, I achieved something, and it just doesn't go away. It's not like graduating college where you get your degree and you're like, now what? No, it's not like that. Even though I feel grateful for college, getting a degree is like busting a nut. After you do it, then you're like, then what? Now what? Now you have post-nut clarity. You're like, all right, so what is all this about? Right? And so I resonate with this guy a lot. I really do. I really do. I think that more men, and I'm glad that men like this guy named John Griffin, I'm going to put his link in the description and a link to his channel in the description, because this is not the entire video. The video is 20 minutes. It's like 10 minutes of a 20-minute video. As men, we need to spread the knowledge like this. You have to. I guarantee he feels fulfilled by this channel that he's making, right? He's doing YouTube. He's walking in the park. I don't know what camera he's using, but it's getting some great aerial views. Maybe he's using a drone that just follows him and avoids branches and stuff. Cool. I would love to do something like that. Great content. But trust me, he's probably way more fulfilled by this than he's ever been by a woman. And men need to know that. That the juice most of the time ain't worth the squeeze. Now, a good woman is valuable, but even she comes at a price. She does. She's not free, guys. She's just not like, have me however you want, bend me over, do whatever you want. Women are not like that. Women, to get a woman, they make you put so much effort just to get a little squeeze of juice. Take them on 3, 4, 5 dates, spend a bunch of money, give all your time, prove to them you're not talking to anyone else. All these hula hoops you got to jump through just to bend someone over and smash them. Bro, come on, man. Because we all know as men, one of the best benefits for a relationship for us, because there are benefits, but one of the best benefits is reliable sex. So as a man, if you could get reliable sex outside of that, or even if you could start caring about sex as much, which that's the point I'm getting to, where I don't even fap as much anymore. I'm saying fap because no fap. I don't even jerk off as much anymore. I'm not focused on those things as much anymore. And I'm happy. This is fulfilling. This is better than a hand job. Trust me. It's way better. And so, thank you for watching this video. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Channel's blowing up. I appreciate you guys. Check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you over there.